Right now, somewhere in a subdivision built after 2005, a roof is failing. Not visibly, not dramatically. It is failing in the way modern construction always fails. Slowly, silently, and expensively, behind a surface that looks completely intact from the street. The asphalt shingles are lifting at the corners. The underlayment beneath them is cracking along the staple lines. The ridge cap is separating. And the family inside has no idea because the roof passed inspection 3 years ago and the warranty paperwork is filed in a drawer. By the time water appears on the ceiling, the structural damage behind the drywall will have been accumulating for 18 months. The repair bill will not be a roofing bill. It will be a structural bill. And none of it will be covered. This is not an isolated case. This is the designed outcome of an industry that stopped building roofs and started manufacturing them. Here is what a roof actually is, technically speaking. A residential roof is a system, not a single material. It is a system of interdependent components, each responsible for a specific failure mode. There is the structural deck, typically OSB or plywood in modern construction. There is the underlayment installed over the deck, the first true waterproof barrier. There is the primary surface material, shingles, tile, metal, or slate. There is the flashing at every penetration point, every valley, every transition. There is the ventilation pathway running from soffit to ridge. Every one of those components must perform independently and in coordination with the others. A failure in any single layer compromises the entire system. The roofing industry sells homeowners on the surface material alone. Shingles, the visible layer, the layer that appears in the product photograph and drives the purchase decision. The other 4 components are selected by the contractor, specified as cheaply as code permits, and installed by whoever is available that week. That is the first structural dishonesty of the modern roofing industry. The shingles dominating new residential construction today are 3-tab and architectural asphalt shingles. Asphalt shingles were introduced in the early 1900s as an affordable alternative to slate and clay tile. They were always understood to be a budget option, a temporary surface for structures that could not justify the cost of permanent materials. That context was never hidden. It was part of the product category's identity. Somewhere between 1970 and 2000, that context was erased. Asphalt shingles became the default, not the budget option, the standard, applied to homes selling at $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. The material did not improve enough to justify the reclassification. The marketing did. Here are the numbers that the roofing industry does not print on the packaging. A standard 3-tab asphalt shingle has a functional lifespan of 15 to 20 years under normal weather exposure. Architectural shingles, the dimensional product sold as an upgrade, carry manufacturer warranties of 25 to 30 years. Those warranties contain a material fact that sales representatives consistently fail to mention. The warranty value is prorated. A shingle that fails in year 17 of a 30-year warranty does not generate a replacement claim. It generates a partial credit calculated against the remaining depreciated value of the material. That credit rarely covers more than 20 to 30% of the actual replacement cost, including labor. The warranty is a marketing document. It is not a performance guarantee. The underlayment installed beneath those shingles is equally revealing. Standard felt underlayment is the black paper stapled to the deck before shingles are applied. It is rated for temporary weather exposure during installation. It is not designed to function as a long-term waterproof barrier. It is designed to bridge the gap between deck installation and shingle application, a window measured in days. Yet this is the material sitting between the structural deck and the primary surface in the vast majority of American residential roofs. When shingles fail, which they do, the felt underlayment is the only remaining barrier. In most cases, by the time the shingles are failing, the felt has already degraded to the point where it provides no meaningful protection. The water moves through both layers simultaneously. The deck begins to rot. The damage is now structural. Synthetic underlayment exists. It performs measurably better. It costs approximately 15 to 25 cents more per square foot. On a standard 2,000 square foot roof, the total material cost difference between felt and synthetic underlayment is between $300 and $500. On a roofing contract priced at $12,000 to $18,000, that difference is operationally invisible. Contractors specify felt because it is what they have always specified, because inspectors pass it without comment, and because the homeowner does not know to ask the question. $300 in material cost generates 15 to 20 years of additional underlayment performance. The industry leaves that on the table every single time. Now look at the flashing. Flashing is where roofs actually fail most frequently, and it is the component that receives the least attention in any consumer-facing discussion about roofing. Flashing is the metal transition material applied at every junction where the roof surface meets a vertical element. That includes chimneys, skylights, plumbing vents, dormers, and walls. These are the points where water infiltration is statistically most likely to occur. Proper flashing installation requires step flashing, counter flashing, and in some cases, soldered joints at corners and returns. It requires a skilled sheet metal tradesperson who understands water movement and thermal expansion at material transitions. It is the most technically demanding component of a roofing system. It is also the component most frequently executed by the least experienced member of the crew, because the skilled labor is on the next job, and because no inspector examines flashing details with the scrutiny the material demands. The most common failure mode in residential roofing is not shingle degradation. The primary problem is failed flashing at chimney bases and wall transitions. This is documented consistently across insurance claim data, home inspection reports, and roofing contractor callbacks. The industry knows this. The solution is skilled installation and proper materials. The industry response has been to develop self-adhesive flashing tape products that allow unskilled installers to cover flashing transitions without cutting and bending metal. These products degrade faster than metal flashing under ultraviolet exposure. They are also faster to apply, which means lower labor cost per unit and higher daily volume for the contractor. The solution to a craftsmanship problem became another disposable product. This is exactly where the conversation has to stop and redirect, because the technical failures described above are symptoms. They are the visible surface of something much larger and much more deliberate. The real question is not why modern roofs fail. The real question is why an industry with 100 years of accumulated knowledge about what makes a roof perform decided, at some point in the mid-20th century, to systematically remove every element of that knowledge from standard practice. The answer is not complicated. It is not hidden. It is margin. In 1922, a slate roof was installed on a residential building in Philadelphia. That roof is still functional. 102 years of thermal cycling, ice, wind, and ultraviolet exposure, and the material is performing. Slate is a natural stone. It does not degrade under weather exposure. It does not absorb moisture. It does not crack under freeze-thaw cycling when properly selected and installed. A slate roof installed by a competent tradesperson has a functional lifespan of 100 to 150 years. The material cost is higher. The installation requires significantly more skill and time, and it never needs to be replaced within any normal human ownership timeline. This is precisely why the roofing industry does not sell it. A roof that lasts 150 years is a roof that generates one transaction, one installation, one material sale, one labor contract. An asphalt roof that fails in 20 years generates 3 to 4 transactions across the same time horizon. Each transaction includes materials, labor, disposal of the previous roof, and in most cases, repair of the water damage that accumulated in the gap between actual failure and visible failure. The economic model of the modern roofing industry is not built on building good roofs. It is built on the replacement cycle of bad ones. The disposable roof is not a failure of the system. It is the system functioning as designed. The corporations manufacturing asphalt shingles understand this perfectly. The 3 dominant shingle manufacturers in the United States control approximately 85% of the residential market. They invest heavily in warranty marketing, brand recognition, and contractor certification programs. A contractor certified by a major shingle manufacturer receives preferred pricing on materials and can offer an extended warranty backed by the manufacturer. This sounds like a quality assurance program. It is a distribution network. The certification requirements focus on installation technique for that manufacturer's specific product, not on roofing system performance broadly. A certified contractor is a loyal distribution channel. The warranty is the mechanism that keeps the homeowner from specifying a competing product. The entire structure is designed to protect market share, not roof performance. The ventilation component completes the picture. A properly ventilated roof requires a balanced airflow path from soffit intake to ridge exhaust. This airflow removes heat and moisture from the attic space, reducing thermal stress on the shingles from below and preventing moisture accumulation that leads to deck rot and mold growth. The calculation for adequate ventilation is straightforward. 1 square foot of net-free ventilation area for every 150 square feet of attic floor area, split evenly between intake and exhaust. This calculation is specified in most residential building codes. It is routinely under-implemented in production construction because proper soffit ventilation requires coordination between the framing crew, the insulation crew, and the roofing crew. On a production schedule optimized for speed, that coordination does not happen consistently. Insulation is blown into the soffit bays, blocking intake airflow. Ridge vents are installed without matching intake capacity. The attic becomes a heat and moisture trap. The shingles age from the underside at a rate that dramatically accelerates the already compressed lifespan of the material. The shingle warranty does not cover premature failure caused by inadequate ventilation. That exclusion is printed in the warranty document. The contractor who blocked the soffit vents with insulation is no longer reachable. The production builder who set the schedule that prevented proper crew coordination closed out the subdivision 2 years ago. The homeowner with the rotting deck and the voided warranty is the terminus of a system specifically designed to distribute liability away from every party capable of preventing the failure. Craftsmen who built the roofs of the early 20th century did not think in warranty periods. They thought in generations. A slate or clay tile roof was expected to outlast its installer, outlast the first owner, and perform for the second and third owners without intervention. That expectation was not idealism. It was professional identity. A tradesperson who built a roof expected to be alive when it was still performing, and that social accountability shaped every material selection and installation decision. The anonymity of production construction eliminated that accountability completely. Nobody who builds a subdivision roof today expects to be personally connected to its performance in 20 years. The institutional distance between decision and consequence is total. The roofing industry produced something extraordinary in the second half of the 20th century. It convinced an entire market to pay premium prices for a disposable product. to accept warranty documents specifically written to limit claims, and to treat the repeated replacement of a fundamental building component as a normal household expense rather than an engineering failure. It did this while the technology and materials to build roofs lasting a century remained available, documented, and manufacturable. The cathedrals of medieval Europe have roofs older than the United States. Some are original, still waterproof, still structurally sound, built by people with no power tools, no synthetic underlayment, no manufacturer warranty, and no production schedule. They simply decided to build something that would not need to be replaced. That decision is no longer profitable, so it stopped being made.